Thank you very much. Thank you that you're here tonight for another delivery of 10 steps, the MoneyWise course, the 10 steps to financial freedom. I've been thinking about life today very much, and as I said to you, it's one of the biggest things in my life one of the biggest challenges was that I had at a certain time, come out of this, let's say, atmosphere of just being a spiritual priest and a pastor and whatever, and take responsibility in terms of money and ask myself, what is there in my life concerning money-wise? What can I contribute? What can I do? Because every person had something. We had to win the money thing and we had to win the relationship thing. All of us. It's not the one or the other. Yes, maybe at the moment you spend most of your time, say, maybe in the money world because you're busy earning a salary, so maybe. But you need to work well there so that you can buy back your time, so that you can move more time back to the family world where you can serve people, where you can minister unto people, help people, whatever it may be, whatever you may call it, doesn't matter. But eventually at the end of the day, we need to work for what we do in this life so that we can have the means so that we can get involved with people. Because our last message is all about family, a family legacy. And we need money for a family legacy, for whatever we do and wherever we want to get involved with. Life doesn't end with what we do and what we work. Life does not end with the things in the world. It begins with people, it leads to things, but it leads us back to people. And to help people to become better equipped in their lives. And that's where the real satisfaction in life is that we come back to people in a sense, whatever we do, we create a thing. But at the end of the day, we make people's lives better. We help them to live more successful in whatever way it is, whatever you put on the market and is your business or your work or so. So there's a point where you actually, in all these steps, you must know there's a certain, what is the right word? There's a certain thing, it's more than a thing. There's a certain key in every one of these steps, We look at houses, say, it's only houses, but there's a key in houses in life. There's an absolute key that can make you financially free. That can at least help you to have more money on your budget. There's a key in houses, there's a key in work. Work is not just something we do because, everyone is working. No, work was God's plan for man on earth. And you need to find the key in work. If you can't find the place where you enjoy work, you're busy missing a key in your life. As we've said, it's what one of our chapters is to work, It's to have everything. And tonight we have the financial freedom or the financial structuring. Financial structuring cannot always make you money. But financial structuring can help you preserve a lot of money. It's also a key. And you need to conquer all of these keys and put it into a working thing that you can start to operate within all these 10 keys. Because all of these keys are much more than keys. It's like a dimension in your life. It's like something that's been given. It's like an enablement and a capacity that's in you that you must release so that you can function in the fullness of that. I've seen many people work hard, I've seen many people having a lot of money, but I've seen most people not having the money left after many years when they finish working. Why? Because we need to learn not how to make money, but also how to preserve money and how to invest money and how to make money more, but also how to create money eventually at the end of the day. It's a beautiful verse of scripture in Genesis 2 verse 15 that says, God said to Adam, you must tend and keep the garden. Tend means you need to work the garden. You need to get order, and decide where is what and so and so. But you also need to tend the garden. Tend means you must look after what you have already achieved. You see, we are so used to working hard and working and we make money and we maybe buy stuff, but 20 years later we ask you, where is that stuff, we've lost it because we didn't tend it. We put it behind our backs, and we still keep on working. But what about the things that you've acquired up to now? Your car, your house, your wife, your children, whatever. There's lots of things that you've already acquired. Where are they? Are they safely packaged? Are they somewhere somehow package that you not lose it along the way. Because you need to tend also your life and manage your life in such a way that you not only work for stuff, and work doesn't become the everything in your life. We all start, work is supposed to be something God has given us. We love to work, but we start out to work for money, but you're not supposed to work for money for the rest of your life. Money needs to start to work for you. Does that mean that you stop working? No, I'm also still working now. But I'm no longer worried, if there is a salary at the end of the month, because I've conquered the money thing. That salary is no longer the issue. It's no longer, you can give your services for free. You can ask money. You can decide, you've got your time back. You can decide what you want to do tomorrow. If I want to go to wherever tomorrow, I can go there, because there's nothing that's ruling me and deciding for me. And that is the nice place of freedom to reach. But you need to make use of all these things to get to that dimension where you actually really experience that, listen, life is back in the Garden of Eden. It's like life is for free. You experience it that way. It's not that life is for free. You still pay on the outside. But it's like a dimension of the Garden of Eden that opens up for you again. That's supposed to be the normal in this life. Because God has said, let the kingdom of heaven, we all want to be in heaven. But listen, God said, let the kingdom of heaven come to earth. I pray, let your kingdom come on earth as it is at the moment in heaven. Now people say, oh, we can just go to heaven. But listen, heaven's supposed to be here. The same quality. Although we may not call it, we call this earth and we call that heaven. But it's supposed to be the same quality of life. And if it's not the same quality of life, then there's something wrong. We need to do something about it, because we're not supposed to have only freedom one day in heaven. Earth was made as the place where man is the king and where he experience and rule with his freedom, with his authority, and experience his freedom. Freedom is important. It is the main design of your whole life, is to be free. Free doesn't mean you can sleep till you win, Freedom means that you live the life that you want to live. And that's in your heart. That's a compelling force in your heart. You need to live that life. So in this whole process, we see that financial freedom or financial structuring is also very important. I love the thing about financial structuring, because it has done me very, very well. I've been traveling around this country in many, many towns, around about 100 towns, ministering around and whatever. And one of the most disturbing things was for me to hear these stories of people, farming, making lots of progress, having 7+ farms, and then just 1 year, there's a total no harvest, and then I lost everything. I thought, how on earth is that possible? How on earth can it be that you work 20 years for 7 farms, you paid it off, and then in 1 year it's gone. There's nothing left, and then your children is responsible to look after you for the rest of your life. How on earth can you end up there? Life is not supposed to work that way. But I didn't have the answer of anything, but I just said to myself, but this is so wrong. This is absolutely wrong. How can the things that's paid off, you had to sort of somewhere in a safe place that no one can come and touch it. Because you're not supposed to be all the way open to financial, crisis and everything. You can lose everything potentially. We had to do something about it. It's also interesting, as I get to know more about MoneyWise and money, that I discovered that most people lose the most money, guess where? Not on earth. It's when they die. It's when they go away from earth. The people that has really some sort of money in their lives lost at least 1/3 of their estate the day when they died. But they never prepare for that. They never think about it, because they don't worry about it, because I'm going to be dead. But listen, you need to prepare everything in your life. If you think generationally, you need to think of your estate unto the next, second and third generation. Then you need to prepare your own estate. Then you need to prepare your own death. then you need to make provision for your own death. I mean, that is one of the important things in life, is that your life does not end when you die. Do you know that? Your life does not end when you die. See, people say, what are you talking about? Listen, there's many people that's still alive here. I'm still reading books of Andrew Murray. You know, what is that other guy? That rich guy that died here in South Africa, what's his name? You know, he's 10 years already dead, you know, but everyone is still talking about him. He's every year releasing still a billion rand or what, you know, into for studies and people and students and whatever. I mean, that guy is still alive all the way there. Because he packaged his estate in such a state that he will live on after his death. And he has made provision that the money is there, whatever was his passion, and in this case his passion was to release a certain amount of money every year for students to study and this and this. I mean, he's still here. Everyone is talking about him as if he's alive. And yet he's in the grave. Anton Rupert, that's right. You see, many people are still alive, but you see, you need to arrange and set up your life to be alive after you've died, otherwise you will be forgotten. You need to leave some legacy and package it in such a way that it can live on without you. And finances is one of the biggest key in that legacy, believe it or not. We always say, you know, I only want to live for the Lord, I want to live this life. Beautiful, that's the starting point of everything. But listen, yes, maybe people will remember you, but don't forget about that money has got also the say, it's part of this world. It's not like, you know, we need to run away from it. Because to have the life that you're supposed to live, you need the money to live it. You don't need to be, what is the right word? Don't be ashamed, or don't be, what is the right word? You know, that your life will maybe need 10 million rand to live your creation purpose. Listen, God is not bankrupt, you know. This world is not a poor place. If your life needs 10 million or 20 million or 100 million, that's not the issue. I mean, you were sanctioned and authorized with the amount of money that you need from the day from before the foundation of the world. I mean, don't like, okay, I'm not supposed to, it can be so well with me, you know, what about the other people? Listen, they've also got their package that was set out and mandated on their name. They can have it. It's just you need to go and fetch it and live it. Because why? God will not give you a mandate for something that if there's not provision for it. And I don't mind what is the amount of money. That is not the issue. The issue is, you know, we are in such a, what is that right word? You know, verskoon my dat ek bestaan, jy weet. Jammer dat ek hier rond is, jy weet. Sorry dat ek ook eet, jy weet. Ek bedoel. Listen, don't make an excuse for your existence. Your existence was planned. Your existence is something to celebrate. Your existence is something that is here to make the world a different place. You will need an X amount of money to do it. You're already issued by it from birth at least, you know, by God. So, forget about the issue. Don't forget about your issue of money. Get over your issue and get to the point why you are here. But we are so battling this issue. I don't have like this. This car is a guy is driving this car and I do not have it, you know. Stop fighting the issue.
Inferiority.
Inferiority. Start flow. Start enjoy who you are. Start celebrate your uniqueness and what you were given, and don't make an excuse for it. Don't go in a fight about it. Don't defend yourself. Just live who you are, because that's what you're here for. And God has sanctioned you. You don't need to defend yourself or anything. Live what you were sent for. Money is only the means to an end. It is not the end. And we've made such an issue about the money thing that it has become the main thing that occupies us. But in the end of the day, we maybe have the money, but we're still battling have we left anything, you know. Because it's not about the means, it's about the end. Okay, so people are losing a lot of money along the road because of various different reasons, because of lack of knowledge, because we don't know what's going on, we are not prepared for what's happening. But when we look at life, we see that in the juridical system, there's different entities that we can work with. And I mean, we cannot go into all these things tonight. You can go and study it for yourself. Number one, you are a personal entity. Your name. You buy a car, you put it on your name. You buy a house, you put it on your name. You must understand that the attorney is not a juridical entity. You are the entity. He's just a guy that handles the paperwork for you. You know, we always think the attorney, you know, you must be careful of the attorney. Listen, the attorney is nothing. He's got nothing on his side except that he knows how the system is working. You are the one. The moment you sign the paper, that authorizes it, that makes it valid. It's not the attorney's sign, it's your sign. Again, you must become confident of the fact that there is power in your signature. It's when you sign something that things start to happen. So remember, the things can be put in your name. You can have authority over it. You can have it and be an owner of it in your personal name, although that's not always very secure. Because everything that's in your name can be stolen from your name. The moment you do business, everything on your name is exposed to whatever you're doing in the business. Then we have a sole proprietorship. Is that, you know, I start up a small business and I say, okay, I'm going to paint houses. So I've got my bakkie and my ladder and the guy that's working for me and we're painting houses, you know, whatever. And the people pay into my account, personal account. You do business basically on your name. But the moment you do business on your name, everything on your name is exposed to risk. Because you can lose it, you know. The guy falls off the ladder, there's a great... you haven't got any compensation for it maybe or whatever, and then there's problems and everything on your name is at risk. So that's sole proprietorship. It's not wrong, but you must just understand what you're doing and what's the, you know, possibilities in all of this and what can happen and so forth. The third thing is what we call a partnership. It's me and you doing, you know, this job is maybe too big for one person alone, so we get another guy, we're doing it together. Our first house we bought on my and Marianne's name. It's seen as a partnership. Therefore the house is registered on both of our names. Partnership is not a good thing. In a marriage it can be something good, but we won't recommend it. The partnership can go up to 20 people in a partnership. One of the biggest problems in partnership is that the moment I get bankrupt, then immediately she's also bankrupt. Then both of us go down. Don't manage. And everything that the other parties do have on their name, it's involved. When one goes down, all the other goes with him. They just go and they don't ask, they just say, all of you give up your stuff, your cars, your homes and everything. So you basically, from my side, I believe you don't ever go into a partnership. Then the next one is a close corporation, a CC, that does exist still today, although you cannot open it any longer. It's basically an entity wherein you can do small business. It's supposed to be, you can also register cars and different things in it, even property and whatever. CC's was closed since May 2011, but it is not already totally phased out. You can still buy CC's, I think, if it's available, but it's busy phasing out slowly but surely. The people that's managing the CC is called the members. It's called members, okay? That's the people that are responsible for it. You can, it's interesting, you can use a CC can be a trustee, a trustee on a trust. It's there's a different name for it. It's like a faceless trustee. You know, it's not someone that's got a ID. Just for interesting sake. Then you get private companies. That's the thing that's in today. Previously we only had companies, you know, but now we have small companies and big companies. Small companies, what is the omset nou weer? It's a turnover of 20 million, I think, is a small company. A turnover of more than 20 million is a big company. Companies are very, very regulated. There's lots of regulations and law and whatever. It makes it a little bit of a challenge to work in a company, especially if you are just doing small business, you know, maybe staying away from company. If you're not doing really business that's making enough money or good money, stay away from companies. It can become very, very difficult. There's lots of rules and regulations around it. That's not in essence wrong, but it becomes difficult for people. Then we have then trusts that we're going to talk about now. Trust started originally in England, at the time of the Crusaders, where the people had to go to war. They put their farms in trust to the government. The government then farmed on the farms, and then they gave from the produce of the farm, they gave to the beneficiaries. That was the wife and the children on the farm. Then they were the beneficiaries of the harvest and all these things. That's where it's coming from. It's interesting that trust has got an English background from the English law. Our South African law comes from the Roman side. In the Roman side, we actually do not have trust. That's a very interesting thing. There's actually no official thing in our law of trust. No. Because we are not from the English side. But because it's so overall accepted, it's like unofficially it's accepted in South Africa. Because a trust is actually only a constitution or a legal document that's signed. Because you can draw up any legal document and sign it, and it's legal. Because if it's within the framework. So a trust is basically only a legal document. It's very interesting that although the company law is very strict, very defined, very thick book about it, but the trust law is very grey. There's not much said about it because, number one, it is not South African law in its origin. So it's a very grey area. There are much more room to operate in it, if you can say it like that. It's not that you can do just what you want, but it is very much a grey area, and it is actually handled as a contract. What is this acte? What is acte in English?
Act.
Your act, your trust act. What is that actually saying? Sorry. Yes. Okay, then lastly, something you just need to take notice of. There is something like an NPO, a non-profit organization. If you want to take up money in public, and make use of it, you need to register for non-profit organization, a public benefit organization, and then at the end of the day, you can get a third registration. That's Article 18A. That is called. Article 18A, that means that any company, any person, any business can give 10% of their global, of their total omset, turnover. I always forget that word. Turnover. They can give 10% of their turnover to a registered operation like this, if you can say it like that. And then those people give them a tax certificate, and then they can use that tax certificate on their books as uitgawe. Where is my English tonight? As an expense. Okay, it's not directly cut off, reduced, but it is reckoned as an expense, 10%. It's a very good thing in our country that we really can recommend to people. I mean, what we actually do in LifeWise is also Article 18A, and it helps a lot because people are much more motivated to deposit and to give money to something where they can get a benefit back at the end of the day. Okay, so this is basically, that is very, very, it's not very, let's say, very deeply explained, but you need to, the very important thing is you need to ask yourself in your life, what is my situation concerning security? What type of asset do I need? It's like transport. Do you need a lorry with a flat bed, or do you need one with a, like a oil tanker? The purpose of your life and the purpose you want to do determines what type of entity you use and how you're going to use it. How far are you going to use it? What is your risk in the situation? What is your affordability? Lots of people open up 5 trusts, but why 5 trusts? You can't even afford one maybe, Not that 5 is wrong. You can use it, but you need to ask yourself, don't create expenses for yourself. What is the size of your asset, What is your accessibility? How much control do you want over the thing? What is the situation around your family, the support and the people there? What is your estate planning? What is your tax situation? What is your planning for inheritance? What do you think about pension and savings, and how do you think about the bank? You can become your own bank. How do you think about community involvement? All these things. One thing you will find with wealth creators is that there are people that are very well informed concerning financial structuring. Because financial structuring is not making the money, but is preserving the money very, very well. Because they know that most people lose most money because they do business on their own name, everything is on their own name, and then suddenly one day there's a problem like me, someone drive into me on the N1, all their fault, Guess what? I forgave them for everything, 80,000 rand of loss from my side, to discover 3 months later that the bailiff stopped at my house to come and fetch everything. Everything. I said, for what? He said, but because you haven't paid the lawyer of the other guy. I said, but he needs to pay his own lawyer. He said, no. He said, you must pay it. And you never paid it. I said, but I'm not responsible. He said, you are, because he said so. Yeah, then I was responsible. Then the whole thing went through the courts and no one informed me about it, and so they said, go and fetch the guy's stuff. I said, well, at least that it's not a big account, it's 2,700. I mean, at least it's not that amount of money. But, take my table, there in the kitchen, it was around about 4,000. At least you will get for sure 2,700. And then he said to me, my friend, you don't understand. I'm coming to load everything today. Everything. We leave you with nothing. He doesn't mind. We sell the table for 10 cents and that one for 20 cents to get to 2,700. But we load everything. Yeah, then I realized now I'm in trouble. And it was not because I created the trouble. Here I am, this pastor driving through the country and helping everyone, forgiving that guy for taking 80,000 rand, that's a direct amount of loss, not to talk about, health and all these things. And here he sued me for 2,700 rand, and now they come and fetch everything in my house. And I realized, listen, you need to get out of this. It is not the people that are guilty that, maybe lose stuff also. It is the people that are vulnerable and haven't done anything around it. So luckily I knew an advocate and I phoned him. He said, no problem. He immediately made the case against him, so that cancelled the whole thing. And then there's another court sitting that need to happen and whatever. And as a long story, I phoned the guy and he made a confession over the phone, and I told him, I've got a recording of this, and then he was up in arms, I don't know why he did it. I mean, this is crazy. I can't still believe why he did it, I mean, he was the wrong person. I mean, I could force him into an enormous lot of stuff, but I forgave him, and yeah, I was the biggest loser. Then I realized you need to look after your stuff. You need to do something. So we got to know the whole thing of, we need to start up a trust, because trust is number one, all about security. The moment that bailiff entered my house and everything was in the trust, I just showed him, listen, all my furniture and cars, was sold unto the trust. You will just take a copy, walk out the door and say, wonderful, no problem, and he will go away, because there was nothing on my name. Because the things that's in your trust does not belong to you. Although I manage it, it does not belong to you. So let's look at what the trust is all about. A trust is a separate legal identity. A trust is a very nice thing to work with an average person, like you and me, that's living, not so average lives, but we're not maybe doing big business and whatever, We mainly running a family and looking after things and build a decent life for ourselves. A trust is very good for us. So you've got a separate legal entity, a trust, okay? You need to write yourself a trust deed, because that's a legal document, the trust deed, and then you take your trust deed to the master of the High Court. There's a lot of forms you need to fill in, and then they register a trust, not on your name, they just register a trust. You get a number, the trust gets a number. Then in my case it's class and trust, it's got a certain number, and there we go. So the first thing I did, we made inventory of all the furniture in the house, everything, every chair, every bed, every whatever. We put a decent price to it, and we said, okay, it ended up to this. And then I said, from now on, you write a resolution that me and Marianne, we are the trustees. We've decided to sell all this to the trust. Ended up maybe 400,000, but the trust doesn't need to pay it now. Why? Because we're sitting this side and we're sitting that side. We are on both sides. It's very easy to have, a decent conversation and to agree with each other because both people are sitting on both sides. So we're selling it because the trust don't need to pay me now. I don't need the money. We cannot have any agreement. So coming the end of the year, end of February, I can donate 100,000 and she can donate 100,000. So we donate 200,000 to the trust. We tell them, you no longer owe us 400,000, only 200,000. End of the next year, we gave them another 100. It's not money that move on through accounts. It's just a resolution. And then suddenly you have actually donated all the furniture into the trust. So all our furniture are currently in the trust. Whatever happened, we can go as bankrupt as whatever. I cannot take my furniture. It's in the trust. It's legal. It is 100%. It is not that it's a scheme or anything. So you can put your car in the trust, and you're supposed to have nothing on your name. Especially if you do business nowadays. You must have nothing on your name, because whatever person comes and makes a court case against you, and don't think it will not happen with you. I thought whoever in the world will do such a thing to me, and then there was someone that did it. And it is not only for the security's sake. That's the number one reason is for security. So whatever you have is now on your name. If there happens anything in your business, and there's an enormous claim against your life, and you in your person goes bankrupt, all that stuff is secured. No one is allowed to touch it. Not even the government will touch it, because trust is a very important thing. It's interesting that 1994, when the new government came into rule, they said we must examine this thing that white people are hiding their stuff in trust, So they appointed a commission to look after this whole thing, and 4 or 5 years later they came with the conclusion. Guess what was the conclusion? Every person entering the parliament are issued with a trust. That was the conclusion. So every person entering the government at the moment in the parliament are issued with a trust automatically. Why? Because all the people in the government have trust. A guy like Zuma's got 36 trusts. A guy like Julius Malema's got about 10 trusts or whatever. They only live through trust. Why? Fortunately, it's a good thing to live in, but unfortunately, because it is a more grey area, people can do much more illegal things also through the trust. That I'm not saying you must do. But it doesn't matter. The trust is still the best thing to do your family things in nowadays. There's still not something better. Yes, people are negative basically about the trust. I always say to people, if you want to get trouble in your life, accept Jesus Christ and open up a trust. You will have trouble. No, I'm sure. Go and tell someone you've opened up a trust in your workplace, and you see what they will tell you. They will tell you the most horrific stories about how the government is clamping down and this is the end of the world, and I don't know what. Why? Because there's an enormous amount of ignorance concerning trust. I tell you, my biggest problem with bookkeepers and these people is that they, on average, do not know what is a trust even. CAs and whatever, they don't know. They don't know what to tell you. I can't tell you how many problems I had in MoneyWise courses of CAs that jumping up and said, but this is not true. I said, but why? Tell me. Show me. No one could tell me why it's not true. They just felt it is not the right thing. I said, but listen, show me on paper why it is not the truth. It's not like you feel like that. The problem you're never educated about it. I always joke, I say, I studied theology, but I never told you. We never studied how to get saved. Because that's too basic. And it's like CAs. They study, there's the most advanced studies in bookkeeping, but they basically never study. They study one chapter about trust, they said to me. This is a very important thing. It's enormously important. I've been at various bookkeepers in my life. And most of them said to me they've never done books about the trust. I say, how do you know what's going on in a trust? Well, they don't know. They say, we've never done it. We don't know. We will have to find out. Because trust is trust. There are lots of trust, but not all people are used to what's going on in a trust. And therefore, there's lots of dispute about what is really the truth and what's happening, you know. And people say, but you're not allowed to deduct, let's say, food from a trust. You know, I say, but why on earth are my trust tax document asking me how much food you've deducted, you know? If it's not acceptable, I mean, you know, and then there's all these disputes because it's really, it's a grey area. It's a serious grey area even under the professional people. Okay, so there are different types of trust. You can, that's a big world. There's a friend of mine that attended MoneyWise, the first MoneyWise, in 2010. He was so intrigued by this whole thing that he wrote a book about trust. You can buy the book from me. It's a very good book if you want to make a study of trust for 350 Rand. It's his book, it's an e-book, you know, but it's really a good book. All about trust, every different trust, all how you do it and what you do, and he can even still open up for you a trust today if you want a trust. He's living in Centurion, very nice guy with integrity. So there's all the different trusts, but basically all the trusts are separated into two types of trust. The trust that you open before you die and the trust that you open after you've died. Why on earth you want to open a trust after you've died, I don't know. So just do it before you die. Because the biggest problem is that you lose money when you die because your whole estate goes through legal hands that no one has got any entrance to. And that's where your money goes wrong. So you never allow your money to pass by the legal structures. Because the moment you put it in a trust and when you die, whatever in the trust never dies because the trust never died. But when it's on my name, it needs to go through the legal process. It needs to be, you know, that someone need to now take over my car, take over the house or sell the house or whatever. But all my houses are in a trust. When I die, nothing happens to nothing. They just take 10,000 Rand out of the trust, they bury me and we go on. They go on, not me. That's it, very simple. But the moment everything is on your name, you know, it goes through, then there's lots of expenses. All this stuff need to be transferred. I mean, I had now quotation for a house of 1.3 million. It's nearly 40,000 Rand. Why do you want to pay 40,000 Rand if you don't need to pay? Then it goes through the attorney and there's executive fees of 4%. And you know, and then is the what is it, estate tax from the government of everything 20% over 3.5 million. So you go on and on and on and on, they're just taking your money and taking your money. So put it in a place where no one can take your money. While you live, put it in the trust, put everything there. The moment you die, nothing happens. Except that they put you in the grave. And everything is safe, no one can touch it. And no one can start to play games with the rest of the people that's still there. Yes, they can sell it out of the trust or not, you know, it doesn't matter. But the point is, there's different types of trust. You can have a basic family trust, you can have a business trust, you can have a special trust for a child with special needs. You can have this really enormous amount of types of trust that you can have. There's a very interesting trust that's originated in South Africa, and that's called a Manhattan Trust. You can actually have a trust with shares in it. It's a beautiful thing. I've got a trust like that with a friend of mine. So we have the property, so maybe he wants to sell 10% of his shares, you know, I just buy it from him, one resolution, we pay money, then it's no longer 50-50, it's 60-40, you know. No hassles, no problems, no nothing, registrations, no attorneys, no nothing. You just go on. It's between us, we just go on. Very easily. You get trust that's only vesting trust. Then you get trust that's really owning stuff. You get trust that's only holding stuff. So it's various different trusts, although the main trust that you will maybe use in your life is a basic family trust. You don't really need to know all the other stuff. It's a basic family trust that you can basically do everything in, if you can say it like that. Basic business, basic housing, basic everything you can put in there. Then you can have a trust only for your shares. You can have a trust only for your gold. You can have a trust for your assets that's got what is it, debt on. You get assets trust for it. So you can go on, but it becomes very complex. And if you maybe have 200, 500 million, you need a more defined trust structure. But if you are still, I believe you have still 5, 10 million, start with one trust and work in that one trust, because you don't need another one still. Okay, a trust is founded by a founder. In my case, I am the founder of the trust, and then there are people that's managing the trust. It's called trustees. It's me and my wife, and then you can get what we call, and I think nowadays it's not law, but they expect you basically to have an independent trustee, someone with another surname that's sort of just looking that everything is fine, that you don't manipulate your own trust and make it what we call alter ego. It means that you live your whole personal life through your trust. Remember, the first thing about the trust is that everything that God entrusts you with, you put in a trust. That's what it's all about. There's nothing in your life that you really own. Everything is only, you only borrow it from God, sort of. It's only entrusted to you by God to make use of it and to put it in something for the next generation. So everything God has entrusted you with, you put in a trust. You see, and because it's not mine. It's the trust. But you cannot live your personal life through the trust. The trust must have a vision bigger than your personal life. You cannot tell me it is a family trust and then you live out of the trust. The family must live out of the trust. The family must have a community, something there. You understand? That thing is very important. A trust is for something bigger than you and even your family. It must go bigger. It must help other people in the process. Okay, we cannot go into all of that. Then there's a third group of people in the trust. It's called the beneficiaries. It's like, who are the people that can benefit from the trust? They call it, they call the basic family trust, they call a discretionary trust, meaning that the trustees has got the discretion who can get money or assets out of the trust. Because it's not like you've got a legal hold. Yes, maybe some trusts are written that the trustees are only managing and the beneficiaries are the owners. You can write the trust like that. But on average, the beneficiaries are only got the privilege of getting something out of the trust, being decided by the trustees. But you get, as I say, different trusts that you can move that the beneficiaries, only managers, they don't decide. It's already been decided that everything in the trust is owned by the beneficiaries. And so you can go on. It becomes a bit more complicated. And it's very important, in the second place, a trust is very important in terms of an estate planning. Because if you have a trust, you need to have a will that is according to the trust. Because if there's nothing on your name, I mean, what do you want to be in your estate or in your will? Then maybe there's just the basic stuff there, that maybe when you die, you still got children who will be the guardians and how it will work financially and so forth. Yes, there's still place in a will for that. But most stuff is already cared for the moment it is in a trust, because the trust document already defines what will be done, what is the rule of what will be done with this stuff. That's belonging to the trust, not belonging to you. That's very important. Okay, and then you need at least a bookkeeper, not a CA, to do a trust. That is much better than like having a company stuff that becomes very, very, very intrigued and complicated and so on. Okay, the advantages of a trust is basically, as we said, number one, it's all about security, number one, and risk management. From that day on, everything of me is in the trust, and whatever happens to me, luckily didn't happen after that, it is safe. Especially when you do business, as most people sort of do business, everything is safe. What's already there, if things happen here, maybe in my company, they can't go to my trust and take the money out there, except when they can prove that I've moved the money from the company there to sort of fraud, all that stuff. The second thing, as I already said, is estate planning. Get all the middleman out of your life. And it is the middleman that's taking the money and it's making the problems eventually. Okay? There is, as I've already said, the trust is also a place where you can do work, your community ministry, whatever you want to do. You can have an NPO that's connected to your trust. The biggest tax loophole, in brackets, it's not a loophole, it's a legal thing. The biggest tax advantage you have actually at the moment in South Africa is, if you can give me 10,000, I will tell you. Is there anyone? It can save you hundreds of thousands. Is that you can move any amount of money from one trust to another trust if it's connected to each other without any tax implications. It means that if there's maybe 100 million in my trust and all my children who have trust, and my trust document reads that all my children, adopted children and their trusts are beneficiaries, then I can move 1 million from this trust to their trust. From my trust it is an expense, in their trust it's an income. Yes, if they do not spend that income, they're going to pay tax on it. Yes, 45%. People say, trust, 45%. Listen, if you don't know how to spend something in a trust, just get married and ask your wife to do it. They always say Bill Gates' wife do not have a budget, she's got a target. That's true. She's got a target. She must spend some amount of money. But the point what I want to make is, I know people say, but you cannot just spend. Yes, it's true. You cannot just spend on anything. It's true. But there are legal ways how to do the thing. There's the funneling principle, that you can pay your children out of your trust profit. You can pay them a salary as an expense. I mean, you can pay each child 7,000 a month. And you've got 6 children, and 7,000 times 6 gives you what, 49? 42. You put it in a credit card, you give your wife the credit card and say, look after the children. I mean, just bring me all the slips. There's ways how you do it. There's in terms of the bookkeeping and whatever, there's different ways how you do it and so forth. But the point is that you live in a trust before tax, not after tax. I mean, if the car is on my name, I get a salary. The moment the salary arrives in my bank account, tax is already taken off. But the moment my car is in the trust and my properties is making a good amount of money, then I first service my cars and I put on new tires and I do all these things, because it's the property of the trust. And then we look if there's any profit left. Now, if there's nothing left, then you might pay 45%. I mean, because it's still nothing. You see, because you can deduct all these expenses before you need to determine what is the profit. You can put in new carpets for the homes. You can paint all the roofs. You can go on, and there's so many ways. At the end of the day, now I must say, you will get at a point. If you've got 100 and 200 million in your trust, you will eventually pay tax. I promise you. It's impossible not to pay tax. But listen, for the average person that deals with 5-10 million rand, sort of, that's a goal where you want to end up, basically, to retire and all these things. The trust is a very beautiful thing. And everything is there, and the trust pays for everything, and it's no longer on your budget. That's the only way I could find my budget working. Move your expenses to the trust and let the trust pay for it. Doesn't that sound very good? Let another person pay for it, because in the trust, in my case, there's properties, there's people that's paying money in, and we pay all the expenses at the end of the day. We pay the maid and the garden boy and whatever. We pay it because they need to look after the trust house. It's not my house. I mean, whatever is the responsibilities of the trust, we can legally take off from the trust. Okay. We can talk a lot about that, and not all people agree with me, because you get two lines of people in terms of bookkeeping. You get the conservative line, and then you get the more liberal line. The more conservative line said, okay, they want to, they are very strict. They don't allow any grey area. I believe you can do books in a more, let's say, a grey area without doing fraud or whatever. You know, if you put on your tax account you've paid 3 million for food this year. You know, you've 3 people in the home. Come on, man. I mean, come on. That's not sensible. That's not logic. That's not. You know, they will come after you. Why? Because you can't eat up 3 million rand of food. You know, you need to be, what is the right word? You know, things need to be in proportion. You cannot just put in figures and start to, you know, toer met die goeders. You need to be reasonable in all these things. So, but there are different ways in how to do the thing. But I believe there's much room in the trust for preserving more money, if you can say it like that, keeping more money in your assets, amongst your assets, than just paying it into tax. You know, there's lots of tax laws that is in our favor, but the point is the tax man will never tell you about it. I mean, there's a tax law, I don't think we've mentioned it, it's called Article 13(6). I don't know if you've ever heard about it. It's a property tax law, meaning that if you buy 5 properties in a year from a newly developed estate or whatever, you can claim back 60% of the purchase price over 20 years from your tax. That is incredible. That's absolutely incredible. It's a tax law for how many years, but no one knows about it. You can claim back 60% of 5 properties you buy in 1 year from the tax man, yes, over the 20-year period. But what's the problem? You're going to pay it off over the 20-year period. So actually the properties only cost you 40% of the purchasing price in the first place. In the second place, you're going to maybe put in tenants there and they're going to pay the whole amount if you bought the thing correctly, you know, according to the 1% principle. So there are extremely good tax laws. And the one thing I've found, that when I've made an investigation about wealth creators, and I asked them, tell me, who are the person that have helped you the most to become financially free? I was shocked that all of them gave me the same answer. The tax man. All of them. They said to me, there's no better friend on earth than the tax man. You don't need to be worried and against the tax man. Get rid of this aggressiveness towards the tax person. Yes, you know, you must come to a point that there's different tax laws, but, you know, I know people will not always agree what I'm saying, but in a certain sense, if you become creative and you become the captain of your ship and you start to get the right financial structures, tax becomes something that is something you decide what you want to pay. It's something you decide about. I remember in those days buying a house, you know, we had to pay 10% property tax to put it into that was a lot of money. I mean, then we had to put down an extra 86,000. You know, that's a lot of money. And then the agent sit there and say, are you mad? I mean, why putting away 86,000 rand for the government? You know, I said, for only one reason. From today, I have the decision how many tax I'm going to pay. And it profited me all the way. I made more money than what I've paid that day to the government. Yes, it's a lot of money, 100,000 per house at that stage. But we made all the money all the way. Because it's a structure that gives you something back that you can have in your hands and how you can do the thing. And you must decide for yourself if you want to make use of it, how do you want to make use of it, because no one is going to force you. Make your studies, yes, it's much more, not complicated, but it's much more to it than what we talk about tonight. And get into the thing and get yourself a book and, you know, study a little bit the trust thing, you know, and if you want to be in the trust, it's really not that difficult. It's really, any average person can understand it. But it is not something that's been taught to you on school or on university. And how to make use of these things to benefit you and how to structure in such a way that you can have the best deal. And that's why, you know, we can go on. You know, there's even better structures than even trust. You know, there's what we call a holding company structure. Those people are even paying even less trust, less tax. That's why they always talk about Apple and Google that's not paying tax. They are not paying tax because they are structured like a holding company. But all the people inside are paying tax. Lots of people, because they're creating work. But they've got a holding structure where you can move any amount of money between their lots of 100 companies. They can move money directly from one company to another company. So what they do, they make a lot of money here in the search engine, but then they start up the Google car where there's no income, and then they just move all the profit there, all the profit. And they create more jobs and they move all the profit there paying no tax. It's true. The beers and these people, I don't think they're paying tax, and it's not illegal. They just got the right structures. You can also have the structures if you want to. You see, it is just people that have sat down, and what the tax man will tell you, if you're willing to study and do some little bit of effort and put down for yourself some structure, I will reward you with some privileges. But if you don't do it, you pay the average, you pay as you earn. That's it. It's up to you. It's your decision. And I'm not here to fight people or not fight people or whatever. And of course, all people are very honest in what they're doing. That's also true. But study for yourself that you can know what is the honest way to go and how you want to do it. And stay safe and live your life. Because that is what it's all about. I've been saving so much money from SARS that I am absolutely happy about. And I'm not illegal in the process. I'm not a person that said, yeah, I'm against tax, you know. I know tax was actually something that started when they started the federal banks, eh? So, but you know, it's here, we're not going to get away from it. Things are not going to operate without tax. I'm not negative about it. I'm just saying we may be paying too much tax, but let's do something about it. That you don't need to pay always so much tax. Okay, you can donate money into the trust, 100,000 per person. You can do long-term investments in your trust. You can make your trust your personal bank. You can maybe use the gig CFI. You can add it to your let's say to your trust and make use of that. You can make use of all the other banks. You must become clever how to utilize all these different organizations for your benefit at the end of the day. You can actually at the end of the day structure your stuff in such a way that your family can basically sustain out of the trust, live out of the trust in a certain way. You need to do the books of the trust. I've already said about the taxing between trusts. Okay, you can have shares of your company. You can have a company and then the shares can belong to the trust. That is also one of the possibilities. You can even pay dividends to your trust out of your company. That's another way. You can have property in your trust. Remember, just if the property has got debt on it, then it's an open door. The bank is also there in your trust. As long as you've got a bond on it, then you need to make sure that you can service that bond. Otherwise, the bank will come in and will bring havoc into your trust. Okay. Yes, so the disadvantages for trust, you know, it's a bit more effort. You need to study the things. There's extra administration. You need to manage it. Yes, the tax in the trust is 45%, but that's not the end of the day. They can make it 60 also, you know. At the end of the day, you just must make sure that you make enough money for what you're doing there. And you've got the key in your hand how you want to spend the money. There's capital growth in a company and in a trust is bigger, yes. But we must understand what is capital growth. If you want to really deal with properties, never go to a trust, please. That's the biggest disadvantage of a trust. The capital growth is basically 80% in a trust. It means that when I bought a house for $1 million and I sell it for 1.5, maybe I have done some renovation not renovations. I have verbeterings. What is that? I've built something on. It cost me maybe 200,000. Then it is a profit of 300,000. Then they take 80% of the 300,000 times the 45% tax bracket, and that amount is added to your trust as an income in the trust. This amount that you need to pay. So it's not a directly 80%. It sounds like death, you know, 80%, you know. No, it's not like that. Effectively, at the end of the day, in a company, you pay effectively 22.4%, and in a trust it's something like of the profit amount, it's like something like 33 or 34% in a trust. Now that's a lot of money. But you see, in my case, I've said to myself, okay, every property I buy it for generational wealth. I'm not going to sell it. Maybe my children will sell it, but listen, if you are unhappy to pay capital gains tax, you eventually haven't even paid anything for the property. So listen, make peace with the government is here. The government will always ask its peace, and but I'm not going to sell it. But in the meantime, I make enough money out of it that if I had to pay it, and I have to pay that, and I say, man, that's part of life. Don't moan about it, don't get an issue about. The main thing of a wealth creator is you must get over the issues in life. Just sort it out and get over it and go on in life. And if there's a tax, then pay it and make enough money to pay it and go on. Because don't spend your energy on fighting the tax man. There's no use in fighting the tax man. The wealth creator are always more clever than the tax man. Not that he overrides the tax man in the sense of fraud, but you can, wat is die, in Afrikaans sê ons daar is belastingvermyding en as belastingverplasing. There's a place where you skip tax, that's not true, that's not the right thing, but it's a place where you can move your tax responsibility to someone else. And that's what people do. They just become clever in life and they move their tax responsibility to someone else. It's not that difficult. I mean, the moment I've got 7,000 in a trust, and you need to pay tax on it, just move it to your children that do not have an income. I mean, then they don't pay tax. So, but it's still in the family. So you just move it to someone, move it to a baby. Just give it to a baby somewhere in the family. Then you just need to make sure you've got children and babies and whatever, Because if you have many children, it's one of the wonderful things in the trust. Because there's lots of places where you can move your tax responsibilities to people that's under the tax bracket at that moment of 7,000 a month. So your father can give you 7,000 a month profit, that when he is moving his tax responsibility to you and you're not paying tax, you hear me? Anu, is that right? So help him to get there that he can give it to you. But in the meantime, he pays your school fees and all this stuff, with that 7,000 a month. Okay. So this maybe you need to find out, you need to get some knowledge about all of this. But to tell you at the end of the day, I remember when we've opened up a trust, people fall upon us. Yeah, they had all these problems. I mean, really, I can't tell you the hassles we had since we opened up a trust. And it's because of all the ignorance around it. And hear me, what I've said tonight is just the basic outline. It's not all the detail and whatever. We need to know the practical things in the books and the whatever and so forth. But it's easy, it's not difficult stuff. But people don't know it, and I don't know what it is about the trust, but people are sort of got issues about the trust. And they always want to have a fight about the trust. But in the last 18 years or what that we have a trust. Now I can really say the trust was one of the biggest beautiful things that came into our lives. It changed in our lives totally, enormously. It helped us. I won't say the trust saved us, if you can say, because it is what happened in the trust. But the way that we could start to use all these, and we could finance all the things around our lives that was happening. That is really, I love it. And it is legal, it is not illegal. You hear me clearly. I'm not telling you to do things that's illegal. So, but also make sure that not everyone that will tell you something that have studied bookkeeping are always on the, on the thing that what is really all the stuff. They don't all of them know what's going on. So make sure, I would say to someone, don't let any bookkeeper do your books if he doesn't have a trust himself. Then most probably will not know what he's doing. Found someone that knows what is going on, and do it and live your life and build generational wealth, because that is one of the big things. Build something that can go over to your children and your children's children, and get out of the place where all these middlemen is just sucking money out of us and taking our money so that we end up with less money. Okay, thank you very much.